I want you to picture like the most incredible outdoor music festival you can possibly imagine.
Oh, sure.
We are talking a sprawling, just endless party right on the coastline. Like the neon lights are flecking off the waves, the drinks are flowing, and there's this relentless driving synthwave music that you can literally feel rattling in your chest.
Sounds amazing, honestly.
It does, right? It sounds like an absolute dream. But there is a massive, terrifying catch to all of this.
Yeah, there usually is.
Right. The environment itself is actively trying to kill you.
Wow. Okay, so it's a profoundly hostile landscape, basically.
Exactly. Masquerading as a vacation destination, the air around you isn't just hot. It is reaching temperatures that, biologically speaking, should shut down a human body in a matter of minutes.
Oh, man.
And the only things acting as your life support, like the literal only reasons your heart is still beating and your skin hasn't blistered off, are the specific songs you're listening to and the local water you are drinking.
That is wild.
Yeah. If the music stops or, you get thirsty, you are done.
So it takes the concept of a hostile environment and just flips it into an acoustic survival challenge. You aren't fighting the elements with shelter or anything. You are fighting the elements with, well, emotional resonance.
That is the perfect entry point for today's mission, honestly, because we are taking a deep dive into the lore of Yaenddarr.
Right.
And for anyone new to this, Yaenddarr is not your standard science fiction rock floating in the void. It is a living, reactive planet where the biomes have distinct personalities.
Yeah, emotions are tangible physical forces there. The very ground you walk on changes based on the psychological state of the people standing on it.
Which is just a crazy concept to wrap your head around.
It really is. And these regions, they're governed by avatars. These incredibly powerful beings tied to specific astrological glyphs. So the planet is essentially a massive nude ring, but, one where a bad mood might cause a mountain to collapse.
Right, exactly. And we're zooming all the way in on one specific biome today, which is Summer Bay.
Ah, Summer Bay.
It is a perpetual 1980s themed beach metropolis. If you mashed up like Vice City, Miami, and Daytona, and slapped the official slogan, which is literally cut loose and let your hair down, on the welcome sign, you would have Summer Bay.
It's the ultimate neon-drenched paradise on the surface. You've got the endless avenues, the street races, block parties, people just dancing on the hoods of cars. It is entirely devoted to the aesthetic of a bygone era.
Yeah, but beneath all that endless summer drift, there is that lethal environmental secret we mentioned.
Right.
To really understand how Summer Bay functions, we have to look at the climate.
We do.
So let's start with just a normal day. You wake up, the sun is shining, and it's a pleasant, manageable 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
A standard tropical morning, basically. The sand is warm, the water is inviting, and by mid-afternoon it creeps up, maybe hitting the high 90s.
Right.
You might need to find some shade, but it's nothing you couldn't handle on a typical beach trip.
But then the sun goes down, and this is where the physics of Yaenddarr completely break away from what we understand on Earth.
Oh, completely.
Because on Earth, the desert or the beach, it cools off at night, right? Because there's no sun to heat the surface. Summer Bay does the exact opposite.
Right. The biome operates on a cycle known as the Ecstasy Heat.
The Ecstasy Heat.
Yeah. Throughout the daylight hours, the white sands of Summer Bay act like a massive planetary battery. They absorb unimaginable amounts of solar radiation.
Okay.
But they don't release it gradually, they trap it.
Until the sun is completely gone.
Exactly. At around 10 p.m., a period the locals officially refer to as the sin hours, the biome hits a thermal breaking point.
And this is where it gets scary.
Yeah. All of that stored solar energy violently radiates upward from the ground in one massive wave. So the temperature rockets from a balmy 95 degrees to a lethal 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Which is cooking temperature.
It really is.
You would bake. Your internal organs would start shutting down almost immediately at 180 degrees. And on top of that, it is pitch black. The neon city lights from the Metropolis, they don't actually reach the water's edge.
They don't. The only illumination along the shoreline comes from these massive, spaced-out oil barrel fires.
Right.
And the locals light them to mark different party sectors and dance battle arenas.
So the visual here is thousands of people dancing in pitch blackness, illuminated only by blazing oil drums, while the air around them is 180 degrees.
Yeah.
How is anyone standing, let alone dancing? And this is where the biome's hydrological survival mechanism kicks in, the water of Summer Bay.
Because the ecosystem provides its own antidote. the bay water itself is imbued with a property that triggers an immediate biological reset upon consumption.
Wow.
Yeah. When a person drinks it, the water forces their internal core temperature to drop to a cool, stable baseline, totally regardless of the external environmental pressure.
It also induces what the sources call a cooling euphoria.
Right.
So not only are you biologically protected from melting, but it acts as a sensory block. You stop feeling the oppressive, suffocating heat of a 180-degree night, and you just feel the rhythm of the music.
It's like a trance.
Yeah. And even if you aren't constantly chugging this water, the bay periodically releases these massive 20-minute cooling gusts across the coastline to keep the crowds from completely collapsing.
Which creates a total dependency. You have to stay near the water, or you have to consume it to survive the biome's natural cycle.
But we have to talk about the recent discovery in the lore regarding this water, because this is the detail that just blew my mind.
Oh, the de-aging.
Yes, the water doesn't just act as an internal air conditioner, it has a localized de-aging property.
It forces a profound cellular reversion. That's how they describe it.
Let me put this in perspective for a second. If you go to a music festival in your late 30s or 40s, your knees hurt by day 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Your back aches from standing on concrete, you're exhausted, and you just want to go sleep in a quiet hotel. But in Summer Bay, you take a sip of the ocean water, and your body temporarily reverts to the absolute physical peak of your youth. We're talking that indestructible 19, early 20s state.
Wow.
The joint pain vanishes, the physical exhaustion is just gone.
The cellular decay that causes fatigue is temporarily erased. So as long as you maintain hydration with the bay water, you can endure the extreme physical exertion of dancing in the sand for days on end.
Without needing sleep or recovery time.
Exactly.
I am going to be honest, I read that and my immediate thought was, this is a trap.
Oh, sure. It sounds like one.
It sounds way too good to be true, right? The biome lures you in with the promise of youth, drugs you with this euphoria, and forces you to keep drinking it just to survive the fact that the beach is 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't people just stay inside the air-conditioned city? Like, who willingly walks out onto a lethal beach?
Well, it's easy to view it as a predatory ecosystem. But looking at the broader migration patterns of Yaenddarr reveals the actual utility of Summer Bay. It functions as a deliberate sanctuary.
Okay.
The people out on that sand, they're largely tourists. And to understand why they endure the Ecstasy Heat, we have to look at where they came from. Many of them travel from a biome called Autumn Falls.
Oh, right. The telenovela about
Exactly. Autumn Falls is a region governed by extreme narrative gravity.
Right.
The entire town is suffocated by perpetual, unavoidable drama. The physical terrain itself will literally warp to force a romantic encounter or like a public breakup.
Oh man, that sounds exhausting.
It is. The air is dense with unresolved feelings, gossip, destined love triangles. The residents are essentially trapped as protagonists in a soap opera that never stops airing.
The emotional toll of that has to be staggering. Living every single day where every conversation has life-altering dramatic stakes.
Right. And when you are carrying that kind of psychological weight, when your entire existence is defined by heavy emotional destiny, the chaotic, lethal environment of Summer Bay suddenly becomes incredibly appealing.
That makes so much sense.
These people flock to the beach because they want the exact opposite of destiny. They want casual, meaningless summer flings. The de-aging water doesn't just strip away physical years. It temporarily washes away their emotional trauma and exhaustion.
So it really is an escape hatch.
It offers total, uninhibited liberation from the narrative weight of their home biome.
But there is a massive condition attached to this miracle water, right?
There is.
The de-aging effect, the physical reset, is strictly temporary. The lore is very clear about this. The magic expires exactly 3 hours after your last sip, or the very second you step beyond the coastal boundary of the city.
Which introduces a really frantic momentum to the culture there. The residents are living on borrowed time. They have to keep the party moving, keep consuming the water, or the reality of their age and their trauma will instantly crash back down on them.
So we have thousands of people dancing in the dark in 180-degree heat, hopped up on magical fountain of youth water, absolutely terrified of the party stopping.
Yeah.
That sounds incredibly unstable. I mean, if one thing goes wrong, if the water supply gets disrupted for even a minute, the sheer panic of an anomalous heat spike would cause a stampede.
Oh, easily.
And because Yaenddarr's terrain physically reacts to human emotion, a massive wave of terror would literally cause the beach to collapse into the ocean.
The environment is constantly teetering on the edge of structural failure. The water solves the biological problem, but it leaves the emotional atmosphere completely volatile. So the biome requires a centralized anchor to organize and harmonize all of that chaotic, drunken energy.
Which is why we need to talk about the absolute legend himself, the mascot of Summer Bay.
Retro.
Retro.
Known as the Nostalgia Amplifier or the Lunar Bard.
I have to describe his character design because it perfectly communicates exactly what his job is on this beach.
It really does.
So Retro has deep brown skin and this striking, swept-up, white spiky mohawk with faded sides. He's got these pointed ears, sharp white eyebrows, and blacked-out sunglasses that he absolutely refuses to take off.
Even though the beach is pitch black.
Exactly. And he's wearing a light blue denim vest over black leather jacket sleeves, a white undershirt with a pendant black ripped jeans with frayed fringe around the knees, and heavy lace-up combat boots.
Yeah.
He is wearing combat boots on wet sand.
A very deliberate choice there. He is not there to swim or relax. He is essentially a first responder in a war zone of heat and sound. He is the visual embodiment of 1980s coastal punk.
To understand how he keeps the beach from collapsing, we have to look at his astroglyph profile. Because the avatars on this planet are tied to astrological signs and celestial bodies. And Retro Jess's profile is very specific. He's the avatar of the moon, he is a Cancer, and he represents the 7th house.
And breaking down those astrological components reveals the actual mechanics of his power. In the Yaenddarr lore, the moon governs emotional reflection and stabilization. It doesn't generate its own light, right? It reflects and calms.
Great.
And Cancer is a sign deeply rooted in memory, comfort, and the preservation of the past.
And the 7th house, how does that factor in?
Well, the 7th house is the realm of partnerships, harmony, and one-on-one connection. Which is interesting because a DJ or a performer might seem like they belong in the 5th house, which is about performance and ego.
Sure.
But Retro isn't performing for the crowd. He is partnering with them. He uses the energy of the 7th house to create a massive, synchronized web of harmony among thousands of individuals, ensuring all their emotional frequencies align.
So he's not just hyping people up, he is acting as a human tuning fork.
That is the functional reality of his role, yeah.
The sources describe him projecting this faint amber and silver lunar resonance aura. These harmonic sound wave glyphs physically encircle him while he works.
Yeah, it's very visual.
So he's taking 80s nostalgia, the feeling of a simpler, happier time, and using it as an acoustic terraforming tool. When the heat hits 180 degrees and the crowd's anxiety threatens to physically shatter the coastline, Retro drops a track like Summer Night Magic.
Right.
And he blankets the entire biome in a localized field of emotional armor.
Nostalgia basically acts as a psychological cooling agent here.
Yeah.
By forcing the crowd to tap into the comforting, familiar frequencies of 80s synthwave, he prevents the chaotic spikes in terror or panic that would destabilize the terrain.
It's brilliant.
It is.
Yeah.
And he syncs his music perfectly with those 20-minute natural cooling gusts coming off the bay, orchestrating the entire survival mechanism of the biome.
He really is the emotional bedrock holding the city together.
Absolutely.
But, when you are the undisputed master of a biome, you inevitably attract people who want to take your crown.
Naturally.
Which leads us to the legendary Party at the Bay showdown. This is the core event of Summer Bay Lore Volume 1.
Yeah, the culture of Yaenddarr is highly competitive, and absolute dominance rarely goes unchallenged. Retro's persistent rivals come from a biome called Cosmosis.
Let's talk about Cosmosis, actually, because the contrast is so stark. If Summer Bay is the nostalgic, gritty 80s past, Cosmosis is the pristine, anti-gravity, high-tech future.
Right.
It is a neon and chrome city suspended entirely in the stratosphere.
The locals of Cosmosis are accustomed to clinical perfection, high-voltage aesthetics, and futuristic nocturnal club environments. So they view the chaotic, dirt-under-the-fingernails vibe of Summer Bay as sort of primitive.
So during the sin hours, when the heat is at its absolute worst, these Sky City locals crash the coastline to battle for dominance. It is literally an acoustic war for the energy of the beach.
And the invasion always follows a specific escalation of sound.
Retro handles the initial wave beautifully, though. The temperature spikes, the Cosmosis locals start struggling because they aren't adapted to the prehistoric heat. But Retro holds the line.
He does.
He taps into his lunar aura, drops the track Party on the Bay, which apparently holds the #1 spot in audience retention on the planet, and he just sweeps the crowd. The sheer warmth of his 80s nostalgia overwhelms the cold, high-tech vibe of these invaders.
He outlasts them through endurance and emotional resonance, basically earning the official title of Beach King for them.
But the victory is incredibly short-lived. Because just as the Cosmosis threat fades, the siren invasion begins. The mermaid trio arrives on the shoreline, and they drop a track called Rise to the Top.
And this represents a completely different vector of attack, because Cosmosis fought with technology, right? But the mermaids fight with biology.
Before we dig into their biological weapons, there is a detail in the lore here that I just cannot stop laughing.
Oh, the piano?
Yes. The mermaids emerge onto the pitch-black, wet sand, and they have brought a full-size grand piano with them.
Sitting right there in the surf.
Right in the surf. And Retro, whose crown is actively being stolen, whose beach is erupting into chaos, stops the battle. He turns to his friend Dante, and he is just utterly baffled by the logistics.
Yeah.
He actually asks, how do they even get full grand piano onto the beach this quickly at this time of night?
Which is such a brilliant character moment. Because he is a tactician of sound, so an impossible acoustic setup completely derails his focus. But it also highlights the danger he is in, you know? He is analyzing the furniture moving schedule while his opponent is preparing a biological strike.
Dante is standing next to him basically saying, buddy, you are focusing on the wrong problem.
Exactly.
Because the mermaids in Yaenddarr don't just have nice singing voices.
Far from it. They possess a natural harmonic hypnosis. It's a deeply ingrained aquatic siren frequency. See, Retro has to labor to harmonize the crowd, right? He has to spin tracks, manipulate his lunar aura, and carefully manage the nostalgia. But the mermaid's vocal range inherently taps into the liquid composition of the human body.
Wow. And she performs right at the water's edge, using the ocean itself as an amplifier for her resonance.
Right.
She isn't trying to convince the crowd to feel nostalgic. She is biologically hacking their brains.
She bypasses the emotional shield entirely. Because remember, the partygoers have all been drinking the bay water to survive.
Right?
Meaning their bodies are already flooded with the biome's unique hydrological signatures. The mermaid leverages that connection, overriding Retro's music and commanding the emotional pulse of the room on a cellular level.
She completely overwhelms the crowd, dethrones Retro on the spot, and claims the title of Beach Queen.
Yeah.
And Retro is smart enough to realize he cannot win a pure vocal contest against a biological siren. He needs a new strategy.
He needs an element that disrupts water.
Under Dante. Dante is the avatar of the sun. He is also a Cancer, but his title is the Ego Flame Bearer.
The combination of the sun and the sign of Cancer is fascinating here. The sun is about radiation, ego, outward projection, and overwhelming force. While Retro the moon reflects and stabilizes, Dante the sun burns away obstacles.
So Retro and Dante scheme in the darkness. They realize they can't beat the mermaids on the wet sand where the siren frequency is strongest. They have to change the battlefield entirely.
Right.
So they abandon the shoreline and launch a vice-lane street rally.
They pull the audience away from the water and into the concrete arteries of the city.
Yes. They drop a track called Summer Block Party, and they tap into a completely different vein of 80s nostalgia, raw, inner-city street energy.
Okay, yeah.
People bringing boom boxes out onto the trunks of cars, cracking open fire hydrants to spray the pavement, massive crowds two-step sliding in the streets. They build this unbelievable momentum away from the shoreline, essentially starving the mermaids of their audience.
It is a brilliant logistical counterplay, but it requires a finishing blow to completely break the siren enchantment.
So they lead this massive, hyped-up crowd back onto the sand and drop a track called Summer Phase. This is where the magic fusion happens. Dante physically injects his solar pyre heat directly into Retro's lunar boots.
Yeah.
But how does fire beat a sound wave?
It comes down to thermal acoustics. Dante is the avatar of the sun, right? By introducing intense targeted solar heat into Retro sound waves, he drastically alters the acoustic density of the air directly in front of the mermaid.
Oh, wow.
The sheer thermal expansion warps the physical space, causing the mermaid's siren frequencies to scatter and distort before they can reach the crowd.
He literally melts the sound out of the air.
That's exactly it.
The overwhelming force of Dante's ego flame, combined with the acoustic pressure of Retro's nostalgia, physically shatters the hypnosis. The spell is broken, the crowd erupts, the mermaids concede the battle, and Retro takes back his crown as the undisputed beach master.
It's incredible. And the narrative arc of the crown battle is thrilling. But the underlying planetary mechanics are what make this lore so exceptional. This acoustic warfare, the shifting of crowds, the injection of solar heat. It's not just entertainment. It's an ecological function.
Because while Retro and the Mermaids are playing chess with sound waves, there are thousands of other people on the beach who don't care about the crown.
Right.
They just want to party. And that introduces the ultimate wild cards. Team Wild Spirit.
Yes. These are the travelers visiting from the savage jungle.
The savage jungle is widely considered Yaenddarr's deadliest and most intensely heated biome. It is a prehistoric crucible designed to test evolution.
The inhabitants of the savage jungle are forged in environments that make Summer Bay look mild, honestly. When the sin hours hit and the beach spikes to 180 degrees, the wild spirits don't panic. To them, it feels like a comfortable spring evening.
They don't even need the magical de-aging water.
No, they don't.
While everyone else is desperately chugging bay water to stave off the heat and maintain their youth, the wild spirits are effortlessly dancing right next to the blazing oil barrel fires.
Yeah.
They aren't there to challenge Retro for a title. They just want to escalate the energy of the room.
They act as chaotic catalysts. They begin dropping their own track songs like Turn Up the Heat, which inject deep, primal drum patterns into the slick 80s synth-wave environment. They cross-pollinate the acoustic energy of two completely different biomes.
And the sheer volume of this music, the layering of nostalgia, siren songs, solar flares, and primal drums, triggers what is easily the most staggering mechanic of Summer Bay. The lore calls it the Independent Contender Rule.
This is where we see the true purpose of Summer Bay revealed.
The crown battle is so massive that it draws in thousands of independent competitors, new people stepping onto the sand to test their own tracks.
Right.
And currently, there is a track called Runaway With Me, being played by an unknown competitor, and it holds the #1 spot for total views on the beach.
Because the planet has a built-in metric system for resonance.
Okay.
When an independent track hits a specific threshold of human attention, specifically over 100 views and over 50% audience retention, a threshold of critical mass is reached.
A literal physical miracle occurs.
Yeah, the collective acoustic energy of the crowd's focus, the brutal thermal resonance of the heat, and the intense vibrations of the synth wave physically compress. The air itself crystallizes.
A brand new avatar is manifested out of thin air.
Exactly.
They are birthed entirely from the audio frequencies. The lore refers to them as born from music or boombox entities. Just think about the sheer amount of emotional energy required for a planet to look at a song and say, yes, this deserves to be a god.
It drastically recontextualizes everything we know about this biome. Summer Bay is masquerading as a neon-soaked 80s retro beach party. But functionally, biologically, it is a reproductive incubator for the entire planet.
The extreme heat cycle isn't just to torture the tourists, it's the temperature required for the incubator.
Right. And the gathering of diverse biomes, Cosmosis, Autumn Falls, the savage jungle, provides the genetic diversity of sound. The intense emotional manipulation by Retro and the Mermaids stirs the pot.
Oh, man.
It creates the exact environmental pressure cooker necessary to birth new cosmic life. The music isn't merely a byproduct of the ecosystem, the music is the ecosystem. The dance battles are the reproductive mechanism of Yaenddarr.
That is genuinely mind-blowing. We started this deep dive looking at a neon beach that was actively trying to melt its inhabitants. And we have arrived at the realization that the DJ battles are literally giving birth to deities.
Yeah.
This guy standing in the dark in combat boots and a denim vest is carrying the weight of planetary creation on his shoulders.
He really is.
His 80s nostalgia isn't just a fun aesthetic. It is a vital superpower that keeps the terrain stable, fends off hostile invasions, and creates the exact conditions needed for new life to emerge.
He provides a sanctuary of youth and sound, but it is a sanctuary that demands constant, exhausting momentum from everyone involved.
Which leads perfectly into a final thought to close out this mission. The magic of Summer Bay is incredibly alluring, the music is perfect, the energy is electric, and the water gives you your youth back. But it is entirely conditional.
Right. The physical mechanics of that de-aging water present a fascinating dilemma. It reverts you to your physical peak. It wipes away your joint pain, the cellular decay of your age, and the crushing weight of your emotional trauma. You feel invincible. But that magic strictly expires exactly 3 hours after your last sip, or the very second you cross the city limit.
The second you step away from the party, the clock catches up.
Imagine the profound psychological whiplash of a traveler. Say, one of those residents fleeing the heavy narrative drama of Autumn Falls. They spend weeks in Summer Bay living young, euphoric, and completely unburdened.
Yeah.
And then they finally have to go home. They cross that boundary line, and decades of aging, all of that physical deterioration, and the sudden suffocating weight of their emotional baggage crashes back into their body in a matter of seconds.
Oh my gosh, that sounds...
Does the euphoria of Summer Bay actually heal you, or does experiencing that fleeting perfection just make the harsh, painful reality of the rest of the planet infinitely harder to survive?
That is... wow, that is a heavy thought to leave off on.